Malaysia has 137 living languages. The average Malaysian understands 3 languages, and in urban areas, most of the younger generation can speak up to 4 languages. Hey guys, what's up? It's Dreamy and welcome to my channel. So today I'm gonna be talking about my country, Malaysia, which is probably one of the most multilingual countries in the world. So a few months ago, I was talking to my friend from China over the phone and she asked me, actually, what is your first language? English? Yeah, I said yeah, English. Then she asked, national language? Malay. Then she asked, mother tongue? Teochew, but I speak Hokkien, which is around 80% similar to it. Then she said, but you're speaking to me in Mandarin. So that's about as confusing as it can get for me. My friends from countries that are pretty monolingual like Korea, the UK, Australia and Japan who come to Malaysia for the first time actually have a pretty hard time of understanding our concept of languages. We have Malay, English, Mandarin and Tamil that are spoken, written and taught in schools, and there's Kadazan, Iban, which are major languages in East Malaysia, and then there are some dialects of each language like Kelantanese, Malay, Bahasa Peranakan, Hokkien, Teochew, Cantonese, Hakka and so on. So let me break it down. Malay is our national language, and from my viewpoint, it is very important to learn it as it is part of our cultural heritage. It's one of the few things that make Malaysian Chinese and Malaysian Indians Malaysian. But that's for another video. Malay is also our official language, but some states like Sarawak have chosen to change their official language to English. English is also widely used, and at least 80% of the population can speak English. In terms of the younger generation, I believe all of them can speak English. I have yet to meet anyone from my generation who can't. So a question I get a lot from people from English-speaking countries like the US, UK is, how do we learn English? Through school lah, but we have our own twist on it of course. English is a compulsory subject in primary and secondary school, and I will touch on Malaysian English in another video. And then they ask why it's my first language and why so many people speak it as a fluent second language too. First, I was raised speaking English. I learned Malay at the age of 3, Mandarin at the age of 5, Hokkien at the age of 10. Second, almost 40% of Malaysian students move to private education for secondary education, and that includes me. Hence, every subject in secondary school was taught in English, so it comes naturally, I guess. Then there's a question that I really want to address now. When fellow Malaysians who weren't in that 40% come up to us in college and say, how do you know BM? Why don't you speak like orang putih or Amoan? First of all, like I said earlier, Bahasa Malaysia is important to learn because it's our national language and it's one of the things that makes us Malaysian. And BM is also a compulsory subject in private education as well. Oh, and you still have to learn Sejarah, which my school did by slotting it into our humanities and BM class. The only difference is that there won't be final exams for it and it doesn't have to be a standalone subject. I didn't even notice that we were learning it until a year after finishing grade 11 or talking to a former teacher. Anyway, back on topic, languages. We don't speak like orang putih or Amor because we are still Malaysian. Also, if I recall, all of my teachers were Malaysian lah, except maybe one from India, but she understands Malaysia so well you probably won't be able to tell that she isn't Malaysian until you get to know her better. Some people do ask me, why can you speak Mandarin? You're not from China. I'm like, first, there are public Chinese and Tamil primary schools in Malaysia, and I went to one for quite some time. And number two, if you're in private education, chances are you either go to an international school or Chinese private independent school. The second one is self-explanatory, and if you go to an international school, you'll be required to take a third language. And most of the time, it'll probably be Mandarin, since a sizable percentage of Malaysians understand Mandarin. In my first year, I had to learn Spanish, but I think the school eventually came to their senses and realized that we would probably not end up using Spanish ever again and scrap it off. But I am trying to learn it off Duolingo again though. Then it comes to Tamil. The same people ask me, if Malaysia is such a multicultural place, why can't you speak Tamil? Okay, to be honest, some of my Indian friends can't even speak Tamil either, so this isn't for me to answer. I wouldn't mind learning a new language, but I wouldn't want to pay that much for it. Duolingo is free. My friends can teach me a language for free, but they can only do it if they understand the language themselves, so yeah. Then people ask how I learned Hokkien even though I'm Teochew. Let me break it down a little. I spent a lot of time with my late maternal grandmother and she spoke Hokkien with my mom, my maternal grandpa and most of her other kids. Fun fact, even though my paternal grandpa could speak Teochew, and he is Teochew, I always thought that he was speaking Hokkien. Besides, English was his first language anyway, and I never knew that these two languages were similar until my friend told me that over a year or two ago. Then local people in KL asked me, why can't you speak Cantonese? I want to learn it, but yeah, it's so hard to learn. So in relation to that topic, I think it's true that you learn languages better at a younger age. I was raised speaking English, I learned Malay at 3, I learned Mandarin at 5, and Hokkien at age 10. And that's the order of my language proficiency too. English at 90%, Malay at 80%, Mandarin at 70%, and Hokkien at 50%. As for that 1 year of Spanish lessons that I took when I was like 12 years old, I can only say and remember Hola, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días, buenas noches, ¿dónde está ahora Poto? ¿Dónde está baño? ¿Tú hablas inglés? Soy chino de Malasia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's all I can say. And my accent is horrible. Well, at least I made it a point to remember tú habla inglés. And I think if it's more formal, I have to use usted instead of tú or ustedes. I cannot remember honestly. It's been like 6 years since I touched Spanish class, and Duolingo is, like I said, at the older age is a bit harder. Honestly, if you take a language after the age of 10, it's gonna get really hard. First of all, I think many people think in their language. Whatever language you think in is probably your first language, and the more languages you learn, the more complex it gets for some people. For me, I can think in English, which I usually do, but I can also think in Malay and Mandarin, but I can't think in Hokkien. Sure, I can speak in Hokkien, but every thought is initially in English. I literally have to translate what I want to say mentally, and word for word, hence my Hokkien proficiency isn't that good. Like, I can switch daripada bahasa English kepada bahasa Malaysia dalam masa pendek, 华语也是可以立刻换去华语。是我講Hokkien話，我愛啲阿摩話小聲，講什麼了？巴魯會使講。So if you ask me about Malaysian languages, it's an individual thing. I would say it's a must to learn BM and English, and it's a plus to learn Mandarin because Mandarin is one of the top 3 languages in the world. And learn your mother tongue. Learn whether it's Chinese dialects, Mandarin or Tamil, or just do all of them if you're adventurous. And if you want to come here for a vacation, or you want to come here and study, or you just want to make Malaysia your second home, or you want to retire here or migrate here for any reason whatsoever, you should be good as long as you know English. If you learn Mandarin, you'll be able to get around cities like Kuala Lumpur or Penang or Malacca or Johor, but you might want to learn some English and Malay as well. And if you are from Indonesia and you want to come here and study, generally you will be able to get around speaking Bahasa, but like I said, I do have Indonesian friends and they did manage to get around speaking Bahasa, but there are some words you might want to learn before you come over here. Although the languages are like 80% similar, you might want to learn some words before you come over. So yeah, that's all for Malaysian languages, and if you guys want to know more about Malaysia language or anything about Malaysia actually, let me know down below in the comment section. And yeah, if you guys like that, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks guys for watching Rainly. Hope to see you guys soon again.